Hello and welcome back. Um, it's been a while since I've done a video. Consistency is not my strong suit when it comes to these, unfortunately. Um, there's been a lot of progress on the game. I'm going to start with kind of a general update, and then I'm going to show you all some useful tricks and tools that you can use for your own games. Um, some of these might not be readily obvious. One of these is going to involve some light scripting. That's really powerful though, so that'll be exciting. I'm going to start off with general updates. I think I was in the mountains last time I did one of these videos. The mountains have now been completed. There's quite a few areas that you can explore. Lots of side caves. Each of these is a different small puzzle of some kind. And at the end, you encounter one of the newest characters. There's a little cutscene. You chat with her. This is Cadence. She's one of the... She's a character you can recruit. Because there's two secret characters, and then you gain through the process of going through the story. She's a heavy gunner. She uses a variety of weapons and skills to inflict either heavy damage, AoE damage, or status effects. You can swap her with Joan, so they fill kind of the same role. Joan is more damage focused, whereas Cadence is more status effects. So depending on how you build your party, you can swap between them. In addition, there's also the Forgotten Mines is a new area. This is a very large map. It's meant to be done in several runs. There's a lot of very valuable loot here. There's also a lot of these broken bridges. So you can see each of these gaps, there's a bridge over it. On the other side of each bridge is more loot. And usually some kind of fight. There's various enemies running around. They respawn if you fight them in here. There's a variety of unique loot. There's two entrances, as you can see. Each one gives you immediate access to different sections, and then as you build those bridges, you'll be able to access more areas. Next section here is we've got the lava area is finally done. So if we go to the world map, we have the... here was the mountains, and then when you're here, you'll get the ability to rebuild these stone bridges, which lets you access the lava area. So you enter the lava area through the lava flats, which is sort of it's meant to be that area around the volcano that you see in the world map. And from here you have three paths you can take. The path over here takes you to the lava plains. These are 4 smaller side maps. They're broken up, pretty enemy dense. They've got some loot, a couple unique pieces of loot, and a lot more of those stone bridges. They've got some new fishing spots. See right here, so they've got lava fishing spots where you can get some of those rare fish. Next is... So then we have over here, we've got the lava caves, which is similar to the ice caves, similar to the endless desert, similar to the forest areas. This is sort of a pseudo-endless zone. Each time you go through one of the exits, you get sent to a random one of the other caves. And as you explore, you'll fight enemies. Some of these caves have unique loot. Some of these caves have unique enemies. And as you can see here, this cave actually takes you to a special area. So if you get to this cave, and if you can rebuild these bridges, you'll get to go to this hidden lake that has 3 unique loot drops. It also has 3 of the general loot drops, so each time you find it, you'll still get some kind of reward. Then we also have some more of those side tunnels. And this last one if you come across this one, this contains a boss fight, unique accessories for the party, lots of unique equipment. It's got a little cutscene. You get a little bit more story. This one room took like 4 days of just constant tweaking and modifying to get it just right. It's a pretty fun fight. I worked with some new mechanics. I've added in the party skill bar, or the limit bar, or the limit break, however you want to call that. So this is one of the first fights that really utilizes that skill. As the enemies fight, they build up their bar using different skills. Skills such as Empower and Enlighten, but they can also use a lot of enemies will have a charge. Where is it? Not charge spell. Huh, I thought it was further down. There you go, limit charge, that's it. So, a lot of enemies will have this limit charge ability. It gives them a small amount of the limit points. And then once they have it charged enough, boss enemies have this unholy power skill that boosts enemy levels by 3. So longer a fight goes, the stronger the enemies are going to get, but also the more money and the more experience you're going to get out of it. So there is, sort of a cost-benefit analysis of if you want to delay the end of a fight long enough to get a little bit more out of it. But if you delay too much, the enemies will overpower you. It also makes those support enemies that can charge that a little bit more of a priority, because the longer they stick around, the faster the enemies are going to level up. Makes those fights a lot more brutal. Lastly, we have the lava tunnels. So that's this door here. Lava tunnels. There is a few of them that you might be able to go into. So you always start at this first one, and you've got to go through it. There's some loots, there's some fight. You have to rebuild a bridge to continue onwards, so make sure you've stocked up on stone. Which, since you find stone throughout the game, you should have a decent stockpile of it by the time you get to this point. Then you have these other areas that you can go to. So when you go out the bottom, you'll go to one of these 3. Looks like this one got moved by accident. Yeah. So each one of these has different things. So 2A, you've got a little smuggler's cache here. 2C is a little bit larger. It also has these little holes that are going to be kind of fast travel points. So you'll be able to interact with the hole, and it'll jump you to a different random hole. This one, I'll probably add more fishing spots in here. Then Tunnel B, it's a little bit more linear. There's a few more bridges, some side stuff, a lot more enemies. And at the end, that takes you to the main temple. This is sort of the end zone for the lava area. There's a series of guardians activated by these tablets. Clearing out the guardians allows you to progress through the map, slowly working your way to the middle. In the middle is where you fight the boss. You'll get a little bit more backstory. You'll learn a little bit more about what's going on. And you'll finally start to see sort of the whole picture of what really is happening. figuring out some of this earlier on. But once you get to this point, you start getting a lot more confirmation. So moving on from the lava flats, we now have the floating palace that you can get to. So on the world map, this is going to be here. These clouds are going to clear out, and you'll be able to get up there now. Palace starts with the courtyard. As you can see, we've got soldiers lining the courtyard. There's some patrols, so you can fight your way through those, or you can dodge them. You can see we've got plant drops. These have some unique herbs. We have some fishing spots. So right away, you're walking into this area, there's resources that you can use and acquire. And then there's two paths you can take. You can enter the palace proper, or you can head north and enter the garden. Palace garden, large, picturesque, hills, stairs. There's some guards, there's some creatures, but not nearly the density that you're going to find in other areas. There's a couple chests hidden around, and there's some more plants, so you can stock up on herbs and things like that. Overall, should be a pretty easy area to kind of explore and walk through. Fairly peaceful zone. There's no bridges to build. There's no puzzles to solve. Pretty straightforward. There is, right now there's only 2 of them finished, but there is these points of interest that you can interact with. Right now there's just the 2. There's the water and this brazier is fire. Later on I'm going to add one that's earth themed and one that's air themed, and interacting with all of those, that will solve the puzzle for this zone, which will move forward to contribute to the puzzle that is the whole palace. There's a single overarching puzzle built out of smaller ones throughout the palace, and I'll demonstrate that in a little bit. So next area, so you can go through the garden, and right over here there's another pathway. This takes you to the koi pond. You'll come out up here, and you can progress downward. There's a few enemies in your way, a couple fishing spots, wood. Overall, though, again, pretty enemy light zone, pretty gentle, just easy to kind of explore and walk around through, and that leads you to the second section of the palace garden, where you find the next 10 garden spots. So you have 10 at home, now there's 10 here that you can plant your plants at. And when you first enter, each of these has a plant in it, so you immediately get a harvest, then you can replant whatever you want here. The idea is that this takes so much time to get to, even if you run back and forth between town and here, you're going to get a pretty hefty harvest. Not to mention, now you have 20 plant spots, so you can put, say, your crystal plants here, let them get huge, then harvest all of them at once, plant new ones, and then use the garden spots at your house for your herbs. So you can just burn through those seeds, get lots of herbs, make teas and potions, things like that. Really, really useful. You can grind some of the rarer enemies. So these ones are the plant swarms, so you can grind seeds, you can grind fertilizer, you can grind some really rare drops. They get a little bit stronger every time you fight them. We have a fairy fight down here, so that's another rare fight that you can come here and fight repeatedly. Got some more of the guards, and then the fade fragments, of course. And this is the plant prep one. Okay, good. So going back to the courtyard, if you go into the main entrance, that takes you into the palace halls themselves. This is your first glimpse of the entryway. as you can see. So there's a decent number of enemies. Each of these has different behavior. Some of them patrol, some of them chase you, some of them just kind of wander around. And depending on where you fight them, as you see, there's lots of patterns and colors. If I go to the regions layer, depending on where you fight them, the fight is going to be different. And once you've fought each version of this encounter, as you can see, there's 4 regions, there's 4 different fights you can encounter. Each time you fight one, you'll unlock a little bit of the rewards of this area. So, and then once you fought all 4, you'll have completely cleared this zone. You'll get all 4 of these loot drops. There's a special loot drop in the middle. You'll solve the kind of the puzzle for this room. And that will be, I'm actually going to put, I think I'm going to make all of these 3 as well. There we go. And that will let you move on to the next sections. So next we have the Palace Halls, or Palace Hall 2. So this is if you go, this is going to be if you go through this side room here, it'll take you to Palace Halls 2. Or 3, here we go. Palace Halls 3. This one is not finished yet. This is just the map. I'm still trying to decide on what to do with this room exactly. It'll probably have something to do with the water, some kind of water puzzle, maybe with the tiles. Not sure yet. Palace Halls 2, though. So that's if you go down, you'll come out up here. This room is more or less abandoned. It's going to have lots of spiders. So these spiders are around. And it's got these little tablets. If you break these tablets, it breaks the seal and it releases these little golden wisps. And that's the puzzle for this room. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And then there's going to be a 4th hall. So this is going to go to the 4th hall area. And then this would also go to the 4th hall area. And I'm not sure what to do with that yet. Then there's also this. So in here, I'm going to put an exit on this side. And that'll take you to the next zone, which will be more of the kind of the goal area. That's not going to be a temple. That's going to be where you'll encounter the boss for this zone. And depending on how many of the puzzles you've completed, that boss fight's going to be different. It'll have a little bit different rewards. It'll be a little tougher, but you'll have some other stuff going on. In addition as well, this downward path, there's going to be a battle tower of sorts. And going through that tower will let you fight some of the newer enemies. I've recently added 2 types of mimic. Here we go. We have mimics and pearlescent mimics. These are very defensive enemies. They're built around buffing themselves and buffing allies. They have a high evasion rate. They deal a lot of status effects. They're generally not super dangerous, but they are very tough to fight. They've got low attack, so they're not going to be doing a lot of damage, but they have a lot of those status effects. And they have a chance to drop an immense amount of loot. And then if you actually fight them in the palace or in future areas, they'll have a chance to drop the loot of that area, or the weapons and armor for that area. If you fight them at lower levels and in other zones, they won't drop that high-end gear. That's just to prevent you from getting weapons and armor way before you're supposed to have it. These mimics are found in the palace, but you can also get summon items to summon fights for the mimics. All of the summoned bosses, so right now there's only 4. But each of these has a small chance to drop one of the items that let you summon a Mimic fight. So you fight more of these, you'll get a chance to fight Mimics. Mimics have a chance to drop the talismans to summon these fights, so it's sort of a feedback loop if you get really, really lucky. These ones can be bought in town. These 3 are rare drops from bosses. You can find them around the world. There's a hidden merchant that'll sell some of these. I'm going to add more too, because right now I only have 4. I probably want about 8 by the time the game is done. I just need to decide what they're all going to be and what they'll be able to do. I want each one to be a pretty unique encounter. I don't want them to be just slugfests, you know. So that's kind of the primary updates for the game right now. Next, I'm going to move on to some of the tips and tricks that I've been using to do all of this, along with one of the new core mechanics of the game that'll help make a lot of these lower level areas more replayable and help you kind of hunt down the gear and the loot that you're looking for. So let's head to the gallery. So, I haven't implemented this yet, but the main mechanic of the gallery, and I've been playing around with a few different ideas, is going to be the ability to reset all of the treasure chests within an area. So, for example, the forest portrait, right now it just gives you a bunch of loot, and it's got this whole mess of switches and things. I need to fix that. When you interact with it, you'll be able to reset all chests in the forest. And right now, like the switches, it's a weird workaround. It doesn't work super well. But using scripting, I'll be able to make this work flawlessly every single time. It'll be way easier. So I'm going to demonstrate how that scripting works. If we go to... So I've got a couple maps that are test areas. This is where I test out new and random things. Okay, and if it doesn't crash, I'm going to demonstrate this script. So first I'm going to demonstrate how it works. So we go here, new game, and if I open this chest, I get a potion. I can't open the chest again. I leave, I come back, chest is still closed, nothing special. But if I go over to this switch here, now the chest has been reset. I get another potion, go back, click on it again, get another potion, and so on. So the way this works is actually really neat, and it seems like it should have been a lot easier to figure out. But, so we go to this, I'm going to move it over here so it's actually easier to use in the future. And it just has this one little bit of script. Super easy. You click on it, it runs this script. So what this does, so self switch, this is looking at the self switch of map 48, event number 8, self switch A, and is setting it to false. Okay, so if we go back to the test room, we can see this is map 42. Did I say that wrong? Yes, this is 42, not 48. My bad. So we have map 42. Okay. Then, if I click on this, this is event ID 8. And self-switch A is what puts it into the opened state. So by turning self-switch false, by turning it off, it returns to its original state. Okay? And you can use this for a whole bunch of different stuff. Because remember, there's 4 self-switches in 2 different settings, true and false, or on and off, whatever you prefer. Meaning you can set up switches on any map to influence the self switches of any other single event on any other map. So this is an amazing tool if, you're doing puzzles, you've got a big dungeon and you want something on room 5 to open a door on room 1 without dealing with the base switches in between. You can just modify the self switch of the door to open it. This is what I'm going to be doing with the chests. So when you interact with the painting of a region, so the forest painting, the ice caves painting, the mountains painting, you'll be able to reset all non-unique treasure chests in that area. Unique treasure chests, I think I'm going to have it switch, so instead of turning A false and setting it to the unopened state, I think I'm going to set it to B true, and I'll have a different type of chest. So basically, instead of getting the unique loot that you've already got, say like a recipe book that you don't need 2 of, you'll get new loot out of that. So resetting this will get you new loot instead of those one-off loot drops that you don't need duplicates of. But this also means that certain rare one-off accessories or one-off weapons, things like that, you'll be able to get a second one of once you gain the ability to reset these areas with the maps. So that one's really, really useful, a really cool tool that you can do a whole lot with, especially if you set it up with, because I mean, like, I could make this into a switch really easy. I'll just do this. We'll come back here. What does this do? Oh, okay. I'll just do... I can't just make a switch? Oh. We'll just make a switch real quick. Switch. We'll make it green. And it'll do this. And then it'll self-switch. It'll turn its own switch on. We'll duplicate it. This is self-switch A. It'll be in the off position. And then this will make it true. And it'll turn self-switch A off. Okay. So now this should just swap back and forth. Put it there. Save. Test. Ta-da! So now I have created a switch that is directly tied to that one event. It will only affect that one event. It'll only ever affect that one event. This is great if you don't want to mess around with, like, for example, my switches. I have a bunch of these MISC switches. I've got the World Loot switches. These I just kind of use as MISC switches too. But this was going to be the whole mess that I was going to have to try and figure out how to work with the fishing spots and the chests. And it was just not going to work. But now I can ignore those and I can just directly manipulate the chests. It also means that I can implement more of the random maps, the puzzle areas. I can have areas that affect each other. So, for example, like, right now I have one vault that's a massive map, 4 different entrances. You need a bunch of keys. But now I can implement more of these that are individual maps, but interface with each other. So, interacting with switches on one map will modify the other map, and it's only by progressing through all 4 maps that you'll be able to finally get to whatever treasure is locked away. And that has a lot of really cool potential. Next, I'm going to talk about some of the puzzles that I've implemented. I've talked about this briefly before, but now I'm going to go a little bit more in depth into it. So, like I showed you in the past, this has the different regions. And whenever you interact with one of these encounters, it does a check. Region ID. Very simple. It checks what region the player is standing on, not the event, the player. So the player needs to be standing on each of these to trigger the next step of the event. So I can't demonstrate this very easily since these are pretty. Well, I mean, I could actually. Let me temporarily just set these to. We'll do it level 1, and then I'll put in a debug event, auto run, common event, growth, and random setup. Okay. All right. And then I want to have the player just kind of start up here. Player. Cool. All right. So I'll demonstrate this one and the next puzzle at the same time. That way I only have to do the setup once, but I want to talk through both of them first. So this one, each of these tiles indicates a different encounter. Palace Guards 1, 2, 3, 4. So by standing on one of these tiles, you get a unique fight. Standing on tile 1 triggers switch 1, which I believe is this guy. So that will reveal this loot box. This one is switch 2, so if you're standing on tile 2, it will open this one. Then 3, so if you're in any of these kind of passageways. And then 4 is the middle of each of these. Will get you to this one. But there's more to it. As you can see, up here, there's 2. So 1 and 3 will activate this mimic fight. 2 and 4 will activate this mimic fight. If you beat those fights, they each turn on a switch. This one turns on switch 6, this one turns on switch 5. Switch 5 and 6 active initiates the central mimic spot. Mimic fight, right there in the middle. Beating that turns on switch 7, which then activates the golden wisps. So that is how you beat this room. Lots of fights, should be pretty difficult if you're at level, but very, very rewarding. Each of these, this one gives a whole loot drop for a single elemental armor type. This one is a whole loot drop for a single elemental weapon. So like you'll get a full set of fire armor or a full set of water weapons, something like that. This one's another weapon set. I believe this one's another armor set. So doing this, you'll get a ton of weapons and armor right off the bat. Then you've got the 2 mimic fights, which are very, very rewarding, huge range of loot. And then lastly, this is a pearlescent mimic, which has a 5% increased drop rate for everything, along with a couple unique drops. So very, very loot heavy. So then Palace Halls 2, like I said, the puzzle here is just interacting with these tablets and you break them. And once all 4 are broken, this wisp appears, it runs this switch real fast, and that switch turns it permanently on. So once these puzzles are completed, these little glowing wisps will always float about and can be talked to. So I'll demonstrate this one real quick, and then I'll try to run through here with this little inviting as possible. Actually, I can just hide these in the water or outside the map. Perfect. Sweet. And this will let me demonstrate some of the higher level combat too while we're here. So save. Oh, whoops. Always forget this part. Erase event. Don't want to be caught in a loop. There. Now save and test. So, new game. And I'm just going to sit here. This is basically running through 50 levels of upgrades. This might take a little bit. Oh, cool. I cannot be attacked during this process. That is good, at least. And then a bunch of loot and equipment. And I'm going to get into a fight the moment this ends. This is not going to go... Ha ha ha! Alright. So I'm just going to do a quick optimize. Alright. Let's see, anything interesting? Crystallized egg. Improves ability to use items. Better healing. Speed. Let's see what are the other options here. Yeah. Mountain. Mountain. Speed. Yeah, alright, that's probably good. Equip Toxic Wand. Reduces counter chance. Counter charm. Attack boost. Yeah, I think I'll stick with the crystallized egg. Oops. Attack boost. You are not an attacking person. So, nothing too crazy in the way of new equipment, at least not for the general stuff. At some point, I'm going to show off some of the new, more unique items. Celestial Sword, that's the stuff that you're going to be finding in the next zone. That's when you actually get to the temple and things like that. Let's give you counterattack. That'll be good. Haha, ooh. Ooh, more counterattacks. So counterattacks on counterattack, that'll be good. Silence immunity, let's do... Let's do confusion. And speed, yeah, that's probably good. Alright, let's get into a fight. So here, this is that 3 zone. Let's see, who are we dealing with? We've got 2 priests, a mage, and a hero unit. And like I said, these are all much lower level since I modified that. I'm going to just guard to show off some of the enemy's skills real quick. So guard. So that's the hero. That's the mage. So that's that empower skill. Okay. So as you can see, they've got some buffs, they've got some damage output, variety of skills. We're only level 24, so the party doesn't have anything too crazy. Yeah, I'm just gonna wipe them out. Margaret, no magic yet. You do have great cleave, though. Joan has lots of fire. Some ice, some earth. Let's just do a classic. And then Lewis. So Lewis has some AoE spells at this point. He's got his mark skill. No party abilities yet. And then some healing. I'm just going to do regen on Joan. Alright, so we've got some Imperial equipment. That's all of the stuff you're going to find in this area. So, let's see, that was a 3. So let's go here so we can get a... Oh, right. So this is a full set of Dwarven equipment, which is the previous area. So that's all the mountain stuff. So let's head here, and we'll get into a fight on a 4. So we've got a hero, a rager, a warrior, a priest, and a mage. I'm going to take out the priest, because we all kind of know what he's going to do already. So here's that party limit bar. As you can see, so taking damage and attacking slowly fills it up. If I go to party skills, right, don't have any. You've got to unlock the party skills through quests and different events and things. I believe Margaret starts with 1. So let's look at items for Calvin first. If I added anything fun here. Mostly the cards. I'm going to smack dude with the shovel. Alright, here we go, party. So, Margaret is the only one that starts out with the party skill for free. It's just what she gets. She has Brawl. It's a very powerful melee attack. Hits all enemies. I'll demonstrate that at the beginning of the next fight. So shovel inflicts stun. You can find those in the desert. They're very useful. Oh, here we go. So some new potions that you can get from these fights. Oops. Perfect, actually. And then I want to show off Brawl. So, Brawl, it hits all the enemies a couple times, deals some status effects, deals a pretty decent amount of damage. Alright, here we go. This is, I think, a 1. Yeah, so in the background you can see all of the tiles. Some are light, some are dark. Dark are the 2s, light are the 1s, centers are 4, and then everything in between is 3. So here we go, we've got another fight. We fought all of them before. Ooh, extra action, cool. All of the celestial weapons, as you've seen, their base attack is much more than a normal attack. Oh, nice. It has some kind of unique effect. So I'm going to just do attacks with all of them. So Calvin doesn't have a celestial weapon. There we go, celestial bow. This is Joan with the celestial staff. Margaret with the celestial axe. All right. Okay, so here we have one of the mimic fights right now. Quickness, regeneration, MP. So I'm going to guard. So this way it can kind of show off. So it has some stun effects. Chance to stun at least. It buffs its magic attack there. This is another enemy that gets stronger the longer the fight goes on. So now if we defeat it, you'll get to see a variety of weapon drops. So 2 of those are from the ice zone. 2 of those are summon fights. 2 of those are local loot drops. Okay. So let's see who else. Haha. So we have. So this one's going to drop all earth equipment, and I think it's a zone 2. So the dark. Oh darn. Oh, counterattack. Oh, ouch. So as you can see, these would be a pretty intense fight if I hadn't significantly reduced their level. What in the world? Why are you just dodging everything? Oh, wow, you've stunned 2 of my people. Alright. There we go. What in the world? Oh, because the whole party is blind. That's why. That'll do it. Alright. Where is... I only have 1 dispeller. Fine. There we go. No. Where did he come from? Alright, well, I seem to have been caught in a fight loop. Which is... I forgot to have these all despawn upon being defeated. Which is a thing that I forget to do often. So... Alright, but if I can just... There we go. So now, if I go down here, there should be that second mimic. Just gonna take him out. There we go. That one had a good drop set. We've got some healing items, magic boost, the Mage's Tome. So the Imperial Mage's Tome is the new spell book for this area. It reduces magic costs and increases magic damage. We've also got some lifesteal spell, so this is a desert drop. Sustenance, I believe this is from the Ice Zone. The Mana Cube and the Anti-Magic Gem and the Wand are general drops you can find anywhere. Let's do some life-stealing spells, huh? Now if I can get to the middle, there's the big mimic. So his attacks are very similar to those of the base mimic. They're just a little stronger. I think he gets a lot more loot. So here we've got tea, potions, summoning relics, fish, way more rewards. And now all of them have been defeated. And these little gold wisps have appeared. So, as you progress through the building, you'll be able to spawn more and more of those wisps. Oh, I haven't actually added the door yet. Darn it. Alright, we'll close that. Delete the debug, because I'm not giving you guys that much free stuff. And I'll just drop the player here. That way I can run around and I'll show you. Let's add, I need Marco to the group. Auto run. Party setup. And so since, or not Margaret, Joan. Since Joan and Caden can swap places, depending on who you have the party, a different one of them will be talking about the things that you inspect. Why is it not talking? I have Joan. Why is that there already? Something has gone wrong. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I think I see the issue. Wait a minute. This one is greater than trial and error. Okay, good. The wisps aren't here. I have Joan. There we go. So we can break the seal. And so as you can see, there's, those spiders would normally be running around. You'd have to fight them. In this instance, I put them off to the side so I can break these without inconvenience. And then you can collect treasure from the broken storage containers. I missed a spider. There we go. And then once you break the seal, more of the wisps show up. And so these wisps are supposed to be sort of a visual representation of God returning. That's, kind of the main theme. A lot of it is just figuring out what's going on. But you're dealing with God, Big G, fighting against a lot of these lesser deities. The Lava Mountain, you fight Ares. In the Palace, you're going to fight Aphrodite. I think I put, Zeus in the main temple that you're going to fight in at the end. And then, there's different references to different godly beings in the other areas. So you've got, Elven Angel is the first boss. You've got, all of the Egyptian themes, the godly pharaohs, the tribal magics and the tribal faiths in the Orcish area. So you're fighting through those different places with the different themes. Okay, so that is sort of the main puzzles for this area. As you clear out more areas, you'll be able to spawn more of sort of the godly moats. And depending on how many of those you have, the final boss will be different. You'll also be able to summon unique boss fights. So, I'll show you. We have, Love and War, Aphrodite, and Ares, flanked by 3 mimics. And then Love and War 2, we have an empowered Ares and empowered Aphrodite with 3 of those pearlescent mimics. Okay, so very, very hard fight, but a ton of loot, lots of experience, tons of money, very, very lucrative encounters if you can handle it. They're not going to be easy fights. And to round this off, I'm going to start with a more simple sort of switch setup. This one I had a lot of fun doing, so I'm going to demonstrate it real quick, and if it behaves, that is. So you arrive at the palace, and as you walk, you'll see the fountains get taller. The water rises. So that one was a fun one to implement. The hard part was directing the player through the pathway, but by adding these statues, it actually kind of guides you into it. Another thing too is these guards don't move, but if you want, you can go fight them. And so they'll have a random encounter. You can fight each one once, and then you can leave and come back. So really easy to fight a ton of the palace guards if you want to grind up lots of experience and live real fast. So how I did the fountains, it's pretty easy. First thing was up here, I've got an event. Here it is. It turns off all of the MISC switches 1 through 10. And each of these are set up linked to different switches. Starting here, turns on switch 1. This one is on by default. Switch 1 makes it taller. Switch 2 makes it the tallest. So switch 1 makes it get a little taller. Switch 2 makes it a little taller. And then switch 3 makes it the tallest. Or no, switch 2. Right. Alright. So switch 2 makes it the tallest setting. And then each of these, they're all offset by 1. So this one, switch 1 turns it on. 2 makes it middle size. And 3 makes it the tallest. So then this one turns on 3. So each time you get to the space right before one of the fountains, it makes that fountain get higher. And then as you progress, they slowly get taller within your line of sight. Pretty easy overall, but it was kind of neat and kind of satisfying to put together. I'm pretty happy with this entryway. I'm probably going to put some more stuff in the empty grass areas, but I figured this was a good, this is a palace. This is the palace. It's opulent, it's big, it's excessive. So I figured a bunch of fountains, waterways, all of this nicely manicured stuff up on a floating island kind of gets that point across pretty well. So that's everything that I have for you today. Thank you for joining me. If you enjoy the work I'm doing, if you like how the game is going, please like and subscribe to this. Check out my game down in the comments. I'll have a new build out shortly after this video is released, if not a few days before, depending on how everything goes. So this next release is going to add the full lava area. It's going to add the palace area. It's going to add the mimics. It adds the party abilities. New ways to unlock TP modes. It dramatically changes the early balance of the game and kind of carries that through for the rest of it. So it's really fun. Highly recommend giving it a try. Please give me some feedback if you do play the game. I do take all of that into consideration and really appreciate getting your guys' input, along with any little bugs that I miss, because more eyes always helps. So thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, would you kindly like and subscribe? If you didn't like, please comment and tell me what I can do better. I'm always trying to improve.